Hello, everyone. I'm just checking to make sure everybody can hear me okay. Thanks for joining the stream. I'm really excited for any type of playtest material or Daggerheart content that comes out. And I didn't notice this come out yesterday, but I did notice it this morning, so I was really excited. So, if everyone can tell me how my audio's doing, that would be fantastic. And then we'll just kind of like walk through things. I haven't actually had a chance to fully absorb the Void content, so I am learning as I go for this one, so. Perfect. Perfect. Yeah, I will say, talking about the Void, let's see, do I have it up here? Yeah, there's a lot of spooky content. In the previous Void, we've got the previous Voids. We've had the Witch, we've had the Warlock, we've had the Dread Domain, we've had transformations into like a werewolf, into a vampire, into, you know, a stitched together Frankenstein type character, a ghost, a changeling. So it does feel like Daggerheart is ramping up for a very spooky setting. I don't know if it's going to be a full book or some kind of edition that is spooky in nature, but that's a lot of playtest material that is all vampire, ghost, werewolf kind of oriented content, and a lot of these adversaries are also pretty spooky as well. But there's also some very interesting environments that they include in here, and I think some of the headlines are being buried on these environments that are included in this new material. So, hello from Brazil, yay, hello. Thanks for joining the stream. So there's going to be a lot of conjecture from me. I have a lot of experience with Unearthed Arcana from D&D and playtest materials in general, so I'm going to speculate on stuff. And one of the big speculations I have for Daggerheart is a bunch of spooky stuff. I don't think that's going to be a surprise, and I'm definitely excited and here for it. I already have a character that is a little bit reanimated, a little bit vampire, that Max Dunbar drew and did a fantastic job. So that video is on the YouTube channel if you want to check out that. The artwork is amazing. And the Dread Domain's super spooky. So let's go ahead and dive in. I've got set up here. If anyone has any questions before we really kind of begin, go ahead and drop them in chat. Or at any time, really. I am downing coffee. Hello from Toronto. All right, let's go ahead and dive in. So right now, we've got this new content from the Void. It's called Adversaries and Environments, version 1.5. We've got Adversaries and Environments 1 through 4. And this is coming after Transformations. This is coming after the Witch. This is coming after the Hedge and the Moon subclasses. We've got the Assassin. And we've, of course, got the Warlock as well. There's obviously some stuff that isn't so creepy, but I feel like a lot of this leans towards maybe a Gothic Victorian setting, possibly. Hard to say. But something is there for sure. Sorry, my phone is going off. Just going to mute it for you. Everyone must know I'm streaming. So, all right. So, yeah, it seems like spooky Victorian era content is coming down the pipeline, but I could be wrong. I've been wrong before. So let's go ahead and dive into what we actually are going to be seeing in this. We've got a mountain troll, which is not necessarily spooky for sure. A hideous, twisted giant born out of rock wearing purloined armor and a belt of severed heads, which that is spooky, I would have to say. We have some interesting abilities. I'm like trying to move my screen instead of the actual thing. Let's see. I see it. Change the shape. There we go. Let me move this without moving it. Sorry, the window keeps on trying to move on me. Windows is trying to take control of the situation. I do not appreciate that. Yeah. So we've got. Let's see. I like the idea that it has stolen armor. Of course, it does, because I can't imagine a troll this big. As a flail whip, enraged mountain troll evolution, double swipe using fear, claw swipe. So this is all pretty standard stuff for like a mountain troll. I don't think anything of this is too shocking. And not necessarily too spooky, other than like the severed heads. But I think it's a great encounter that one would want to go. Tier 1 solo too. Yeah, that's fun. We've got the weird stuff. Rabble mob. These cat-sized balls of hair, limbs, and teeth travel in a mob of about a dozen. This is horrifying. This feels like a deep cut into the 80s. So, again, I haven't even seen this playtest material until right now, so I am live reacting to all of this. Rabble mob sounds like Critters. And if you don't know what Critters is, the film, Google Critters. It is utterly bizarre. They are just giant furballs with red eyes and massive teeth. They are just gobbling mouths. So this is exactly what Rabble mob feels like to me. Cat-sized balls of hair, limbs, and teeth travel in a mob of about a dozen. So, I don't know. I'm getting real Critters vibes off of this. I think that's pretty creepy and amazing. I love how concise Daggerheart is because of the very nature of cards, and that they just go right to the point. This is the monster. This is what you're getting, and they'll elaborate later in like a book. But yeah, there's also totally Critters, and also kind of a joke, right? Rabble mob. Does anyone know if this is like an anagram of some kind? Because this is literally about critters. With the context of Critical Role, it's pretty funny that they've created this monster. So, it's a literal Critters reference. I don't know what to do with that. In fact, I'm pretty tempted. Hold on, for everyone at home, I'm going to switch to my camera only for 1 second, and we're going to look at Critters, just so you understand. That's so stupid. All right. This is me in the webpage. This is Critters. So this is the monster. This is like the movie poster for Critters. You'll have to check out the trailer. I've tried to watch the movie again. You can't really go home again. So yeah. It's an interesting movie. It was a movie I was obsessed with. There are tons of these little creatures that would just roll around and devour everything in their way. So it was pretty amusing and pretty funny. So let's move back to the actual playtest material. So I'm already in with Rabble Mob, and I am 100% going to have my players run into just a sack full of critters. I think that's so disturbing. And let's go to the other side of the dock real quick. So we've got Redcap Butcher. So Redcap is not exclusive to D&D. This is like Irish Celtic mythology. So this is this halfling-sized fey creature who hacks their victims apart with a variety of cutting implements. Often this is actually a scythe. In D&D, redcaps are born out of a murder and crawl out of the blood of a murder victim. So that very much is on theme. Motives and tactics is interesting. Give them the runaround, grin disconcertingly, hack and slash, scramble. Just very, very short descriptions. Chop happy. That's a horrifying way to describe this. Knife thrower. So this is very Redcap stuff. Now we've got a Redcap Candlemaker, a pale, gaunt cult leader holding a 7-foot-tall rod with candles. I love this. Made from a hanged man's hand atop of it. Jeez, this is going all in. We've got the Hand of Glory, Torchbearer ability, and we have Dances with Flames all in here. Different abilities that really kind of, inspiring bloodlust in all their allies. So this is the cult leader for the Redcaps. That's pretty metal. So there is a 90s themed Daggerheart one shot. Yeah, I 100% think the mob would show up in a 90s themed Daggerheart game. If I was to conjecture, I don't know enough about what that one shot is, but yeah, that would do well. So, right now, I am really on board with red caps. I love red caps. I used a red cap in one of my own adventures in D&D where they had actually killed a god, and a red cap grew out of the blood of that god and started to stalk them in this very Pennywise the Clown sort of way. And weirdly enough, they came from what I called the blood domain at the time. That was like a couple of years ago. But it was a domain purely made of blood. It was like a realm of murder. It was really disturbing. So that's what this evil red cap had come from. This kind of godlike red cap that was stalking them. So, definitely have some Ravenloft vibes. We'll move over to the left again of the PDF. And again, you can check this out on the Void. I really recommend you do so. And just going to scroll over. Doppelhund. I don't know how to pronounce this. This feels like a very German or Norwegian way of saying something. So, a vicious, magical, six-legged hellhound with glowing eyes and two long, toothy squid arms. This is awful. They confuse the enemy by conjuring an illusory duplicate of themselves. So this is a very famous creature in D&D. So this is what? I'm having a complete... My brain just shut off. What am I doing? Displacer Beast. Sorry. It's really early in the morning. So Doppelhund is the Displacer Beast. You've seen this if you've watched D&D the movie. The Displacer Beast is done incredibly well in that film. It looks like a panther that has two tentacles on the side. And it creates an illusion of itself to kind of trap and hunt its prey. This is 100% that. So this is a very famous kind of D&D type creature that is showing up. I don't know if that creature is... I don't know if the Displacer Beast has any place previously in legend, in like Western mythology or Eastern mythology or any other. But this is like spot on, flat out, the Displacer Beast. So if you love Displacer Beasts in D&D, this is your Daggerheart version of that, for sure. Let's see what else. Yeah, it blinks around. It has a lash. This is all the things that basically a Displacer Beast does. So moving on, we've got the Dragon Knight. This is a knight clad in dragonplate armor, and it has a helmet in the shape of a dragon. Its motives are exploit an opening, get some distance, knock off balance, strike from above. Actually, let's see what the actual kind of Displacer Beast: ambush prey, kill for sport, play for food, play with food, trick and deceive. Okay. So Dragon Knight, I really love motives and tactics. I think that's really helpful for players and new game masters. Nothing shocking here, but interesting. So this is, I think this kind of stuff can be more important than what we've seen. Like, we've got monsters that are very much critters. We've got a version of the Displacer Beast in this content, which makes sense, but Dragon Knight is coming out of the blue. So these Dragon Knights must factor somehow and may be renamed for some type of setting within Daggerheart in the future. Because this is weirdly specific, but not tied to anything that I am aware of from D&D or from folklore. It's just a bruiser type character. It's just a typical knight, really. So I think that's unusual. But now we get to the gothicness of it all. We have a gargoyle. So this is a magically animated statue in the form of a terrifying beast or devil. Its motives and tactics are hide in plain sight, overwatch, and swoop down. Its passive is it's got resistance to all physical damage, very similar to D&D. Just a statue, again, before their first attack in a fight. They appear to be hidden. The gargoyle is indistinguishable from any other type of normal statue, so you do have to make some type of instinct roll to identify them. This is all very on theme with any gargoyle. So super gothy. I love gargoyles. And of course, a swooping strike, which makes a ton of sense. Gothic stuff. So that is tons of creepy gothic content. Let's move over to the right side of the page at this point. I will move over here. I gotta find a better way to do this. Alright. Gobstalker. This I'm curious about. Alright, the Gobstalker is a fleshy, floating ball of teeth with 10 jointed antennae rising from its crown, each bearing a different colored eye. This is a beholder, everyone. So, beholder, one of the most iconic, not trying to make a joke or a pun, but like the beholder is probably the most iconic monster in all of Dungeons and Dragons. The Gobstalker sounds 100,000% the beholder in every way, shape, or form. So, again, what looks like a fleshy, floating ball of teeth with 10 jointed antennae rising from its crown, each bearing a different colored eye. That's a beholder. And by the way, I don't mind at all that these characters that we are beloved in Dungeons and Dragons, that they're finding a way to also add them in Daggerheart. Totally get it. And we've seen beholders in film. So we've seen these creatures pop up before. And there is no exclusive rights to, eyeballs on an antennae. So, and also when you look at the Void update, as people mentioned, you do see a very beholder type creature. Let me go ahead and move to the webpage real quick. Let's see. We're on that. The Void Daggerheart. It's also in the thumbnail. But as you can see right there, that creature, that's not the creature though. That's a different creature that's already in the game, I believe. That's not the one with the antennae, but it's definitely got those vibes. So, yeah. So back to the Gobstalker. And here we go. So its moves and tactics are ambush, dispose of rivals, seek riches, use magic at long range. So this is, I think, a pretty intelligent monster, very aware of its environments, and it's not going to set itself up for disaster. Yep. So the Gobstalker has an anti-mystica halibut. I can't even say this. The Gobstalker's breath is so rancid it creates an invisible miasma that is negative to magical effects. Any attack that deals magic damage or creates a magical effect in front of the Gobstalker within close range automatically fails. This is very much like the anti-magic ray that comes out of the center eye of a beholder that prevents your magic from working. It's basically identical in purpose. It's just not coming out of its eye. It's coming out of its breath, which is disgusting. But I'm here for it. So good way to manage that. Now we've got, in addition, we've got different abilities for each of these eye stalks. We have Beguile, which is one of the, how do they describe this? There are beams, not rays, that come out of each one of these eyes, again, like a beholder. We've got Beguile, which you can imagine what that is. We've got Corrode, which has a corrosive effect and will wear out your armor slots. We've got Doom, which creates, which clears your HP, but also can reduce hope. Yeah, okay. That makes sense. Hypnosis. Character falls into a deep trance. Paralyze, again, makes sense. Petrify, very standard for a beholder. Push, causes some physical damage. Searing, basically a searing strike. Slow and terrify, causing someone to flee the battle scene. So this is all very beholder type stuff. Halitosis, yeah, very funny. I love that. So yeah, we basically have a beholder for Daggerheart now and the Gobstalker. I do like I like the name Gobstalker quite a bit. I think that's pretty hilarious. And Gobstalker feels like a 90s one shot as well. So this seems like a bit of fun. So those are the new types of monsters that we're getting. We've got some more stuff. We're going to move to the left now to the next page. We've got the Chimera. This is obviously not something exclusive to D&D. A giant fire-breathing monster with a lion's head, goat's body, and a serpentine tail, a serpent's tail. Its motives are to, again, play with its food, prowl their territory, reveal the bestial nature, and slay cattle. It's got rending jaws, we got breath of fire, we got a serpent strike, all of that on brand. Double claw reaction. This is just, this doesn't feel like specific to any one environment, whether it's, Gothic or otherwise. So it's pretty standard stuff, really. Except for now we have the fell-mounted Shadow King. This is pre-metal. The shade of a forgotten ruler cursed to patrol the skies atop a winged eel in the service of an evil, I don't know how to say this, demiurge? Your motives are to acquire magical items for your master, inspire fear, and patrol the skies. This kind of feels like a Nazgul, really, from Lord of the Rings. So its features are light and shadow. It's passive, gain bonuses to attack and damage when it's in darkness. Relic Hunter, it's always looking for magical items. This really feels like a Nazgul looking for the One Ring, actually. The more I think about, well, yeah, they were always considered Fell. Shadow King, Witch King. Basically, Fell-mounted Shadow King feels 1,000% like one of the 9 Nazgul from D&D. Especially with all this Hellsong. The Shadow Knight's mount can unleash a spine-chilling screech over the battlefield. Yeah, this all makes sense. This is Daggerheart's version of the Nazgul is what we're looking at right here. That's really cool. I love how adaptable Daggerheart's been in terms of like the monster choices that they're having. Not necessarily tied to one particular location. So, yeah, Daggerheart has a Nazgul, everybody. If you want a Nazgul, now you have a Nazgul. We are going to move over to the right side of this PDF now. And let me know if you want a more concise video or you enjoy these live streams. And 100% donating to the Patreon allows me to continue to make these. I am doing a lot of traveling this month. I'm going to be very busy, and that is literally made possible by all of you and the people who support Patreon. There's also ways to support through YouTube's app as well and donate there. That stuff makes all those insane plane tickets and hotel stays possible. So let's see. Lamplight Beguiler. This is, let me move it a little bit closer. And let me know if you have any questions in chat right now. Lamplight Beguiler, a huge mer creature who lures unwary prey into eating range with their dangling, shape-shifting headstock. This is very much like a goblin, not a goblin shark. Oh, I'm forgetting the fish. This is my wife's favorite fish. It's an anglerfish. Yeah, anglerfish are so creepy. This is basically a mer anglerfish. I can't wait to see the freaking art of this. This is gonna be insane and just upsetting. And often, like the Nazgul, the creatures they're riding look awfully like eels that just happen to have wings, because they're not straight up dragons by any stretch of the imagination. So I can see why they said that. Okay, let's keep on going. What does this angler do? Okay, so when you get very close to the Lamplighter Beguiler, it has this doppelganger effect. It has a membranous cluster at the end of its headstock that can shapeshift into any human form. Oh, God. And can choose a PC within close range. The player must tell you what form the PC would find most trustworthy. Such as a relative, a mentor, or a lover. The Beguiler headstock transforms into that shape. Oh, God. This is just horrific. So this is an anglerfish that is dangling the person you want to see most from like a tentacle. That's horrifying. I hate this. I love and hate this. I don't want to run into this. This is an anglerfish that is basically dangling a person that you care about at the end of it. Yikes. All right, our next monster is Whisper Wraith. The echoes of broken promises and dreams unfulfilled. These wraiths appear as floating, translucent shrouds of tattered black velvet in a vaguely humanoid shape. Its motives are bind to limbs, drop from a great height. Oh wow, lift off the ground, swirl through the air, and wrap around heads. That's terrifying. The Wraith is immune to physical damage and weak against magical damage. Additionally, the Wraith can move through solid objects. Spooky. That's a great passive. Lean in. When the Wraith made a successful attack, all PCs within close range mark a stress and you gain a fear. Nightmare Shroud. To have the Wraith wrap themselves around the PC within melee range, making the shrouded until they or an ally succeed on a strength check to dislodge the Wraith. If it's an attack roll, the Shroud PC takes damage as well. Wow, that sucks. While shrouded, the PC has disadvantage on all attack rolls and marks a stress when they roll with fear. That is a nightmare scenario. Yeah, I hate it. Perfect. All right. Let's move on to the next set. And yeah, I will take a look at making more concise short videos instead of live streams. This was the quickest way I could possibly get this video out. So, yeah, let me know in chat. Like, do you want more concise ones, or do you enjoy the live stream format as well as we walk through stuff? There was kind of an anglerfish type creature that was in Love, Death, and Robots. I can't remember what season it is, whether it's season 1 or 2, I feel like. But there is a weird moment where this alien spider-like creature, but psychically portrays someone that people like. But it's got that kind of level of horror. So, Cephalith Priest, a robe-wearing, squid-headed humanoid from the Outer Realms. This sounds like a Mind Flayer initially. Attack the weak-minded, avoid melee, lord over, oppress. This is definitely Mind Flayer action. This is very Mind Flayer coded. Psychic Blast, pure Mind Flayer stuff. You can choose up to 3 targets at close range, make a knowledge or instinct reaction roll. The targets who succeed take 2d10 X amount of damage, blah, blah, blah. Very Mind Flayer. Daggerheart now has Mind Flayers. Oh, thank you. Thanks for liking my live streams. I appreciate it. Yeah, I'll always probably try to do a mix. It's just what I'm physically capable of doing. I am a one person band on all of this, so. Cerebral Suction. This is 1,000% a Mind Flayer in Daggerheart. Cerebral Suction. To choose a vulnerable target, one of the targets that you've essentially made vulnerable, likely from your Psychic Blast, you can grab the target and try and insert the face tentacles in the target's ears, nose, and mouth. The target must succeed a strength reaction roll or mark 1d6 stress. The priest clears a number of stress equal to the number of stress the target marked. This is just eating your brains. It's eating your brains. Telekinetic Grasp, same thing. Yep, very psychic oriented, very Mind Flayer. We're hitting. Look at what we're hitting in this. We are hitting. Well, we got Red Caps, we got Displacer Beast, we've got a Beholder, we got Tritters from the 1980s films. We've got Nazgul, we've got Mind Flayers. I'm going after a lot of stuff in this. In this, the Void. So that's what makes this so interesting. This Void is actually one of the most interesting ones they've really dropped. Because when it just says adversaries and environments, it's kind of bearing the headline of what you're actually getting in this playtest material. And I'm curious how soon we'll get this in something like Demiplane. Demiplane's very good about putting this content up. Zero Castle Killer. I am curious if this is going to be Godzilla. So, yep. Yeah. So, Tier 4. A castle-sized bipedal reptile. Godzilla. leaves a wake of destruction, leveling buildings, stomping through settlements. I'm Godzilla. This is Godzilla Year Zero. Or a Tarask. So this is Daggerheart's Godzilla or the Tarask is essentially what we're looking at here. It's relentless. 0 can be spotlighted up to X amount of times for the GM's turn. Woof. Collateral damage. Its movement cannot be impeded in any way. Everything within its path will be destroyed. It just moves through them. Gigaton Stomp. Love that. It brings its foot down hard and creates a localized earthquake. That's huge. And also knocks people back, causing lots of physical damage. Power Slide. 0 can... 0 up to close range. All creatures move through must make a strength reaction roll. Targets who fail lose armor slots. Okay. And here we go. Radioactive Breath. So very much like the Tarask initially. But now we have Radioactive Breath. So this is Godzilla. Again, this feels like 90s. This feels like a nice horror movie. We've got the makings of like the best movie horror one-shot or series for Daggerheart. I'm jealous. I want to run this game. Yep, and it's regenerative too. I love it. Yep. So we've got Daggerheart now. It has its version of the Tarask as well as Godzilla. We've got Nazgul. We've got Beholder. We got Critters. We're all over the place in a good way. So let's move on to the next page. Go to the left. All right. So those are the monsters, but now we're going to get into something interesting. We have the Grand Feast. So these are different types of essentially environments. So Grand Feast is a community-wide celebration featuring way too much drink, food, and fun. Impulses are bring everyone together, celebrate a momentous occasion, encourage a revelous abandon. So we've got a couple of features like loose lips and fast friends. Makes sense. Are you not entertained? There could be an honored guest. There's always that one. You get trapped in a conversation. Last call. After a long party. There's some other people. People are hungover. Oh, that's fun. I love that we actually have rules for a party now in a role-playing game. I think that's fantastic. I love this. Grand Feast is... Yeah. Now we have official rules that can handle, like... I mean, at first I thought we were going right to the Red Wedding. But no, this is just... this is party mode and what the effects are. And I'm glad that people actually get hung over from it. So, yeah. Oh, I love the Void, by the way, chat. I love the Void and any playtest material because all playtest material tells you where they're going with this. And that's why I think playtest material is really important to cover because it is an indication of what products you'll get to see in the future. And I love, love, love that Demiplane supports Daggerheart, Daggerheart's The Void and playtest materials because I feel like that math of who's using it and how they're using it and how they like it is incredibly important to the playtest process. So I think it's huge. A failure with fear. You have to help clean after the party. That's pretty great. All right, let's move on to the next one. Switch myself over to the right. Heist. Love it. The party must gain access to a hidden or well-protected location, acquire the information or items secured within. Again, this feels like that kind of Victorian era, or further into like even the 1900s. Peaky Blinders. We've got the assassin in there. We've got the brawler. This feels like Victorian era kind of stuff as well. But the party must gain access to a hidden or and this can be used for anything, sorry. The party must gain access to a hidden or well-protected location, acquire information of items to secure within, make the party prepare, split them up, throw up obstacles, trap them inside, use up their resources. This is also like a panic room as well. Let's see, prep work. Yeah, this gets the players to like, yeah, have it. Yep, get ready for an actual kind of heist. That makes sense. Infiltration, passive. Sorry, I'm looking over the prep work right now. Success. Oh, they can get advantages. Oh, okay. Depending on the roles, they can get an advantage for a specific asset they're trying to get with their prep work. So for infiltration, they make constant rolls. They can end up, being spotted. There's sound the alarm. This kind of stuff. Oh, this is really great to have actually for a game master. Saw this coming. Something always goes wrong in one of these scenarios. Once per session, a PC can spend a hope to explain how they prepared for the current situation and reveal a key piece of information. Love this. You really get to feel like a super smart person because you know what the key code is, or what a cultist uniform looks like, or you grab one of these items and you save the day. Exfiltration. The party acquires and must succeed on a group action roll to escape without being caught. Okay. Sound the alarm. When there are consequences to the countdown, the party is discovered. This all makes sense. I love these little frameworks for scenarios. Yeah, that's fantastic. All right, we're going to the next page. I have thoughts about the convergence of portals, but we're not doing that right now. We're about to, though. All right, Crystal Wasteland. This is interesting. A harsh and alien landscape that shines with towers of glittering crystal. Cut them to their core, fracture their psyches, show their true reflection. This feels utterly original unless you can think of another type of inspiration for this. I mean, this certainly feels like Far Realms type of stuff. Or a mirror dimension. So the crystals reverberate with magical energy. The PCs can make a downtime move to try to attune to the environment. And kind of get their senses around what is happening and how to traverse. Gravitational anomalies, okay. Interesting. So basically the landscape is warping the distance and direction for people. So this is a really alien environment that is really hard to wrap your brain around. This is very Cthulhu stuff. Arcane reflection. So targets can see a vision of their dark past or even a darker future. I love that. Razor sharp terrain. Obviously, this is a super dangerous environment. Psychic shuffle. Oh, wow. If you collect all the players' character sheets and then reshuffle and randomly redistribute them so their psyches are in each other's characters, that's really fun. You suddenly appear in someone else's skin. Yeah, this is a very weird alien environment. Okay, yeah, this is interesting. I can't think... This is hitting a lot of tropes in storytelling and movies and film and stories all in one environment. This is this is prismatic. This is something that is fracturing. This is like being in an alien dimension that you can't quite comprehend. There's something to that very specifically when the very original Call of Cthulhu story, when they find that environment under the ocean, the gravity is impossible and the terrain makes no sense. So I think all that is skewing a little Cthulhu. And I have no complaints. All right, we're going to move to the final one, and this is a big one for these environments. Go back to the top. And this feels like Planescape. So, for those that don't know, Planescape is a setting in D&D. It is around the area of Sigil. Some people call it Sigil, but technically it's pronounced Sigil. This is the City of Doors in Planescape, and it has a doorway into virtually every single plane of existence within D&D. So you can go to any town almost, you can go to any plane of existence through these doors, and it's the kind of environment where devils can show up and angels and totally get along, all types of monsters, Mindflayers. Every creature within D&D can all show up in this city and not necessarily cause a scuffle because there is lots of checks and balances to prevent anyone from showing up. Gods are not technically allowed in the environment in D&D, and there is also a ruler known as the Lady of Pain that will straight up banish you to a labyrinth if you cause any trouble in the city. So, convergence. So this is Daggerheart's convergence called Convergence, the City of Portals, which sounds exactly like City of Doors. This is a sprawling metropolis at the nexus of creation where influential figures from across the realms gather. Impulses confront them with alien customs, dazzle them with infinite variety, and tempt them with the impossible. Love it. Potential adversaries, power players, monarch, demon lord, orthax, fire giant, warlord, arch necromancer, high seraph, vampire lord, oracle of doom, travelers, and residents of any kind. I'm really real quick. I'm checking on. Did we have adversaries for the last one? No, we didn't. Potential adversaries. So for Crystal Wasteland, adversaries were adult flickerfly constructs, crystal guardians, elemental spark, whisper wraiths. Okay. That's a little informative. So, okay. This makes sense. You can basically run into anything in this area. Impossibilities abound. This is a convergence of a nexus of gods, monsters, aliens, all manner of dimension hoppers. Because mortal life is generally beneath these beings' concern, PCs have disadvantage on action rolls to influence them unless they have leverage against them or know what the NPCs care about. That totally makes sense. What manner of being currently holds sway in the city? What strange customs do they practice? Which PC is most confused or offended by them? And which PC adopts these customs as their own? I like that. That's fun. So this is kind of like Planescape for anyone. Into the multiverse, passive. The City of Convergence is a portal or door to every plane of existence, just like Sigil. Where or when does the party want to go? Where is that portal located, and who controls that area? Very much leaving it open. Everything, everywhere, all at once. We're not really disguising the fact. Okay, yeah, this is one of my favorite films. I'm also obsessed with the show, the show Loki, which is a fantastic show. You need to watch that. Watch the TVA. This is leaning really hard into all of that, the multiverse. So this city has a solution to any problem. You can find it. A PC seeking a particular item with wondrous properties can make an instinct or presence roll to find it in the city's pan-dimensional marketplace. So you can find anything in this entire city if you need it, depending on the correct rolls. So it's a really fun environment for... It's a really fun location. If there is something you absolutely need to get, go to the city. Of course, there's different kind of like critical successes. You'll find a merchant that has it and finds it inconsequential, so the exchange is pretty easy. Or you find the perfect item, but someone wants some value of it. You find a merchant that has it, but will only exchange it for something the party cannot give them yet. And then on a failure, you mark a stress, because it's a complete wild goose chase. I feel like this is me going to the mall for something. So this is me shopping in the real world. Don't make waves. Interesting. Because anything is possible in Convergence. This feels like we're going to do the thing. Because everything is possible in Convergence, the city maintains a labyrinth bureaucracy that issues and enforces ordinances regarding all exchanges and interactions between the realms. When the party arrives in Convergence, start a countdown that ticks down whenever the PC does something that upsets the city's delicate political equilibrium. When it triggers, the PCs become wanted until they clear their names with the authorities. When a wanted PC rolls with fear, they summon 1d4 temporal enforcers very on brand, who appear at very close range, immediately taking the spotlight and try to apprehend the party. Fun. An offer you can't refuse. Convergence is home to a tenuous network of rival factions. Spend fear to have one of them present the party with an easy solution to a difficult problem in exchange for their allegiance. If the party refuses, each PC must mark a stress, and they can't return to that faction for help in the future. Wow, that's huge. And that, well, that's the drop, and it's a biggie. Well, everyone, pile into the comments and tell me what you think. But this is pretty huge, don't you? We covered a lot. So again, interesting. I think this is all. This is a very interesting drop by the Void. So let me know if I'm missing anything here. We have Planescape. Basically, that exists now. We have, if you like Planescape, we now have an environment like Planescape that you can use in Daggerheart. If you like Lord of the Rings and you like Nazgul, you now have Nazgul, something that is very comparable to Nazgul in Daggerheart as well. If you miss having beholders, there's a very beholder-like creature in Daggerheart. If you love the movie Critters, or Gremlins, really, but it feels very Critters to me because they mentioned the hairiness. We've got Critters, the monster, basically available for you, which is super 80s feeling. We've got, if you love red caps, we got red caps for days. If you love anglerfish type monsters that have an appendage that looks like a loved one or someone you really care about, you got that now. I think that's horrifying. And now we've got, I'm missing one. We've got the Beholder. We've got Displacer Beasts now, essentially in Daggerheart. We've got a version of those. So a lot of very interesting content. The Dragon Knight feels like the most kind of out of the blue, to be honest. But yeah, the Gobstalker is definitely the Beholder. I love red caps. Excited to see that. We've got Godzilla / the Tarrasque. That's huge. So we've covered so many genres. I think I got a new thumbnail I need to work on for this video in terms of like the Void content really is everything all at once. I think that is like the title of the thumbnail. Yeah, that'll be fun. I wish I was better at Photoshop because I would shove all those things in there. So what do you all think in chat? Let me know and discuss. Where do you think we're going with all this? It feels like we have a gothic setting, but I'm thrown off a little bit by the Godzilla elements, the Tarrasque, the fact that we're getting some classic D&D monsters. Oh yeah, of course, Mindflayers. We've got a type of Mindflayer in there as well, eating brains. So we've got a pretty interesting gambit of, we've got a Planescape-like environment. We've got Mindflayer type creatures that are very Cthulhu-esque. An environment that is also very Cthulhu-esque, that's mind-bending. The party is interesting. Heist location. Yeah, this is all over the place, really. You really like the lamp-like beguiler. Yeah, I know, it's awful. It's horrifying. Can you imagine being at the dock and this is poking its way above the water? I hate it. this creature just underneath the ocean waiting for you is truly terrifying. Yeah, which is everyone's favorite monster out of all of these? I'm curious. I'm pretty excited to have Nazgul. The creature that wraps itself around your face and then people, if you attack it, it will cause damage to your friend. That's pretty cool. Yeah, this could be a couple of books, really. Or maybe an everything book that covers, like, here's the Gothic section, here's a Victorian section, here's a spacey, mind-bending section, all in one book. I could see that. They don't necessarily have to do an all Gothic book. Yeah, something more tied to campaign frames. Oh yeah, I love conjecture. Shadow King Shadow King is great. Yeah, the angler. Everyone loves the anglerfish. And my wife Megan Kenrick loves anglerfish. They're so ugly. Yeah, the gobstopper. I'm glad to have that. Yeah. So since we do have this kind of city of doors like environment, that could be the center piece of the cog that ties all these different kind of creatures and settings. So that's a good point. Yeah. Yeah, one big. Sorry, my camera's going out of focus quite a bit. Every time I lean back, it goes out of focus. Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's possible that this Planescape-like environment that they're including here, the convergence can kind of be the center that leads you to, say, a Mindflayer-like environment and dealing with Mindflayer-like creatures. You've got the Gobstalker in there. Then you can have this Gothic setting. Yeah, I could see this kind of planes planar hopping adventure where you go to Gothic environments, spacey environments, all types of stuff. Yeah, for sure. I'm very eager to playtest this. I think it's gonna be really fun. And then we have great things like the transformation cards. I love the changeling. I love having the reanimated, especially Frankenstein. There's so much Frankenstein content coming out right now. It's absolutely insane when you think about it. Like we've had look at how much Frankenstein stuff we're getting. We've had creature commandos. We've had poor things. We've got Frankenstein from Del Toro coming out. We've got another Frankenstein movie with Christian Bale. We had and we had, oh my god, I'm forgetting the comedy. I just talked about this in my last stream. Lisa Frankenstein. We have so many Frankenstein movies that have come out in the last 2 years and will come out in the next year. So, wild conjecture from the. Okay, what's your wild conjecture? D&D going to franchise mall. Maybe this is testing the waters for using D&D settings in Daggerheart? I have no idea. You're right, that is a pretty wild conjecture. So, I'm just looking through chat. I like the adventure idea. Gobstopper is really cool. I agree. Frankenstein. Yeah, I know. I remember. That joke never gets old. Yeah, new Del Toro Frankenstein, I'm hearing nothing but good things. Technically, Blade 2 is kind of a Frankenstein story ish. And that actor who actually played the main antagonist ended up playing Frankenstein in a mini series, which I tried to watch, but it's like 20 years old, and it's a rough watch. I have trouble with pacing of movies that are 20 years old sometimes. Any other conjectures? Everyone from chat, sound off on what your favorite monster is and favorite setting is and why. And we will wrap up very soon, close to the top of the hour, I think. Keep this to a nice those are all my role-playing books behind me. My place is a mess. Absolutely, I love breaking stuff like this down. And I love the Void because it allows you to daydream. And I like even more being able to play test the player options as well. I do like King Godzilla. I mean, honestly, didn't we all want the Tarrasque to have radioactive breath a little bit? I have some fantastic art I commissioned. My wife Megan actually fought Asmodeus at the end of our 3-year campaign with some friends, and this was live streamed actually on Demiplane. And had a scroll of Trask summoning and summoned the Trask above Asmodeus's head. So it fell on Asmodeus, and Asmodeus attacked the Trask and got aggro, and so a Trask is fighting the devil. And then things got weird. So I actually had that art commissioned from Nikki Dawes, and it is absolutely the most insane piece of art I've ever seen in fantasy. It's an upside down Trask falling from the sky with Asmodeus the devil looking up with this what the F expression on its face. And this, in the foreground, this gnomish vampire cackling hilariously at this thing that it did. I can only describe my wife's character Whittle as a Dampier gnome that is very much a character that could have come out of Arcane. Oh, they were on Instagram, but they didn't make a YouTube video talking about the Void? How long ago did this video come out? I'll have to check it out. Everyone's loving the anglerfish. All right. Well, that's our wrap up of basically the Void. I'm going to keep on doing this as soon as the Void drops. As soon as we get new content like this, I'm going to do a live stream to kind of cover it and react to it with all of you live. For all of those who are from the group, the Daggerheart group from Facebook, thank you for joining. I really appreciate it. And thank you, everyone thank you to all the critters and all the people who are interested in Daggerheart for being so welcoming. I ran into a lot of you at Gen Con. It was incredibly kind of everyone. I had some people say some just lovely things to me. So I really appreciate the support. That's really helped us. And don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a comment. That helps the algorithm in YouTube. It's really strange. I do want to cover Draw Steel, absolutely, and trying to get to it. I'm just running all the time, frankly. So I'd like to grab some interviews for that. Yeah, there is a Daggerheart group on Facebook that's really cool and inviting. So I've been enjoying news updates from there, and homebrew content that people have been making there as well have really been cool. So if you want to support the channel, like I said, subscribe, like, leave comments, hit the bell notification. We also have a Patreon page. Next week, I'm coming out with playtest material, finally, because InDesign scares the hell out of me for some reason, and it shouldn't. But we will have playtest material coming out next week. That'll be available through the Patreon as well. And also that Patreon as well allows us to purchase gear. Like I had to buy a bunch of microphones because I didn't own all of my own gear when I was laid off. I do own my own cameras, but we need to get a lot of microphones and stuff like that, content like that. Having to do plane tickets, paying for food while we're in these convention environments, paying for plane tickets. I have to say, conventions have been gamified or completely exploited. And I get it, people are trying to make money, but like when there's something like Gen Con or any event, the hotel prices probably increase by 5 times at least. Like these are hotels that would normally be like $100 suddenly become $500 a night. And then Uber rides get more expensive, taxi rides get more expensive suddenly, car rentals get more expensive, and flights get crazy expensive. Like they have this down now. So that's why we use Patreon to try to get through there, because YouTube revenue is virtually non-existent. So yeah. Well, thank you everybody. I really appreciate you joining the live stream, the unannounced live stream. I just saw the Void content, super excited. Big shout out to Jeremy Crawford, Chris Perkins, especially Rowan Hall and Spencer Stark for making content like this. They're so excited about just game design in general. They are 2 amazing human beings, and I will have a lot more interview content with them coming up that I have still not gotten a chance to publish, talking about Daggerheart, talking about the Void. So I'm excited for all that stuff to roll out very, very soon. Thank you so much for watching. Bye, everyone. Have a great day. Thank you for joining. Thank you so much.